Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. Now, if I can give you one tip, I would say it's time to start keeping a closer eye on the live events channel, the live events Twitter and all of that. With the disappearance of the Drifter Armada that we got from the footage from Hill and Tukos, and we actually found his body as well. Yeah, it's really, I think, a time to keep a close eye, because at some point that Armada will show up, and it will be some sort of invasion, I think, and that will probably be like a big live event. Might be tied to some different release, but yeah, we are getting those hints that something is about to happen. So I would say get on that, and yeah, try to find out what the correct timing will be, so you can prepare a little bit for this event. I'm not sure what we can expect out of it. I think a lot of people are expecting that maybe one big invasion in one point. Personally, I think it's more likely that we'll start to see drifter invasions all over the place. It could even be some form of incursion, since they do have the technology from that, and there is a slight Sancha link, I think, that Eric Jalan found out between what's happening with the drifters and Sancha's nation. So I think we're at a pretty interesting point here. Of course, you never know beforehand when CCP is actually planning to do a major event like that, but if it does happen, it's always good to be prepared. And so in order to do that, I think the live events channel, Eric Jalan channel, and the Twitter are the best sources to keep an eye on. Next up, we are here for the market, of course, so let's start with the bad news here. If I go for a plex, we are still going up, and that would be at maybe 140, something like that. At least the 5-day moving average is slowing down close to the 900 million mark, but the sellers are at 906, 907 million already. The buyers 891, so they are hesitating a little bit. The plex for good is over. More than $100,000 has been gathered for Nepal, so that's pretty awesome. Of course, that's also a lot of plex out of rotation, which will have helped with this increase in price. Another very good point that was made as a comment previously is that the new skin system, of course, is also going to have an impact on the plexes. Although personally, I do think that plex for good has been the major impact. It's good to see it slowing down, so it does look like plex is hesitating to really break the 900 million mark. We'll see how long the sellers can sustain 906 million, because the buyers are not following suit that quickly. 891, it's still a pretty big gap of 15 million, which is a little bit bigger than normally, 15-16 million even. So there is some pressure, I think, on plexes here to stop at 900 million, which would be good news, of course. I think summer pressure could be in on this as well. And then, to be honest, maybe out of game news as well. The announcement of Fallout 4, XCOM 2, E3 coming, Steam sales coming, all of that could have an impact on the activity within EVE Online, and thus an impact on the market as well. All of those things, by the way, I'm pretty excited for those myself, and so I'm keeping a close eye on those as well. Next up, we'll take a look at the multiple pilot training certificate. What the hell happened here? Did that really dive back down that badly? No, that's something wrong on the chart, I think, because the sellers are still going for 834 million, the buyers for 810 million, which puts them, let me see, around here at the chart. Well, actually something did happen, quite a correction here for the multiple pilot training certificate. Not sure why this happened. If you have any explanation, feel free to let me know, because that's actually pretty substantial. Maybe someone all of a sudden dumping all of those that they had available or something like that, maybe due to quitting EVE. That could be a possibility, but this is quite weird, and we are actually normalizing right here at the lower end of this band, so that's yeah, kind of weird. And if you need some multiple pilot training certificates, this could be the right time to do so, considering that plex have been going up and don't look to be correcting in such a manner anytime soon. Here's the body resculpt one, then that one is still holding it now at 180 after a little spike, correcting back here. It seems that I think the volumes, you know, around maybe 10 a day, a little bit less than that, are very are very low, and thus it is easy to manipulate this market. If someone actually wants to, they don't need that much ISK to drive the price up, try and get a bit of profit out of it, and then it will of course correct back down. Here, this big volume spike right here, up to 140. How many units would that be? 20, 40, probably 60 units, 5 to 6 times the normal volume is of course what caused this spike, and now we are correcting back. Who would buy all of that? As I said, maybe someone trying to make some trade money out of it, maybe like a big corporate alliance that wants to do something funny. That's possible as well, but it's pretty obvious that this volume spike could be done by a single pair, because we're only talking about 60 rescalps, and then trying to resell them for a higher price. All of this is much easier to do in a smaller market like this than something like the plex, where we're talking 2,000 plex a day being sold. You need a pretty big wallet if you want to single-handedly drive this market. Next up, we'll take a look at the minerals, of course. It's actually not that eventful, 550 for the high-sec minerals, I think. Titanium is down a little bit, but this is okay for a stable price at around the 5.3 ISK mark. So 5.3 for sellers, 5.2 for the buyers. Here we've got a little bit of buying pressure, which could drive the price up a little bit, with 2 billion units being asked in the 2 latest orders for the highest price. So this is probably going to be just a slight dip, but we are going to move, I think, around 5.3 ISK for the titanium for the time being, until something drastic would happen either in-game or by CCP. But this is normal market variation. You can see that it's already hesitating to go lower, and these 2 really big orders continue it here. Another 2 billion, another 2 billion, and another 2 billion are going to probably stop this, and could even drive the price back up a little bit towards 5.3 for the buyers. Oops, I need to drink for a moment. There we go. Next up, we've got pyrite. That one is going down, breaking away from the 11.2 mark. We're talking 1092 for the buyers, 1107 for the sellers. So it does look like pyrite wants to settle closer to the 11 ISK mark. Let's take a look at supply demand here. 180 million, 165 million. Yeah, here 650, 780. So again, demand is taking the edge, but at a much lower price, below 11 ISK. So it actually looks like pyrite will stabilize at the 11 price mark, not the 11.2. Next up, we've got Mixalon. Then that one is stabilizing at around the 44 ISK mark, so 43.24 for the buyers, 44.34 for the sellers, and again slight edge for the demand side here, 264 million units. That's actually quite a bit to buy all of a sudden. If you consider the numbers here, 40 million is the biggest one. So this one order pretty much is equivalent to the entire front page of Mixalon sell orders. So that again gives the edge to demand, meaning that price stability is very likely, because I don't see the market going up all of a sudden for no reason, especially not with the summer coming. But seeing this demand could be either investments or that there is still decent activity and demand to support current prices. So a stable high-sec mineral market, I think, is what's in it for now. Here is Isogen seemingly going down as well from the 110 ISK mark. Let's take a look here. 105, some sellers coming in, 105 for the buyers. So I think the market is trying to settle just a little bit lower. 4 million here, 28 million here, pretty recent as well. So again, I would give the edge to demand, but it is possible that Isogen will find its price closer to 105 than 110 ISK. Noxium, what's that one doing? Unfortunately, because of the wars that happened, although they were quite uneventful, I did not make a move on Noxium, which I should have. You could have bought below 520 pretty easily, I think. Now it's spiking back up. We're currently looking at still below 520 for the buyers, so that could still be worth it, but 540 already for the sellers. So it does look like this could be a bottom, although I am expecting Noxium to move alongside the other high-sec minerals and probably just start in a more stable period right around this price band, 540, 520, anything in between there. I think could very well be the current price for Noxium, and for the foreseeable future it could be like a summer situation at this point, I think. Let's take a look then at Zydrine. Zydrine is going up a little bit. That is quite a bit different from what you've seen, for instance, in Titanium, where it's going up and down a little bit above and below the 20-day moving average. Here for Zydrine, this is clearly a bit of a trend break for a little bit of time already. So going from 1200 towards 1400 ISK, 1360 for the sellers, well, still below 1300 for the buyers, so a little bit more margin coming in here. Although 60 ISK is not that much. And then the volumes wise, 1.5 million, 1.5 million here, 1.731, very slight edge to demand, so not by that much. I do think that this will stabilize quite quickly, but it could be closer to 1400 ISK than 1200 where we were a few weeks ago. And then here we've got Megasite. You've already seen that I was doing something pretty similar from the ticker below, up a few percentage points. Actually, one of the biggest movers on the ticker has been Megasite. So also when it was below 2000 ISK, I think the market is saying no, I think we will keep Megasite above that. Buyers 2065, sellers 2150, but supply pressure is coming in here, 2 million, 1.4 million, nothing like that on the demand side. And so it does mean that the increase in price for these two have quite a bit of a limit. And so let's hope that we do see Zydrine stabilize here. Then we could actually say that we're coming close to the summer situation for minerals, and the decreased activity could actually put a bit of pressure on the price there as well, countering the demand strength that we are seeing in the numbers at the moment, thus realizing pretty stable prices, I think, for minerals. That's my expectations. I could be wrong, of course, but we'll see as the summer progresses. Let's take a quick look at the impact on Tech One chips then. That's around 12 minutes. Let's start here with the Apocalypse, well, which is working on a little bit of a spike. Let me see if it's above 185 for the sellers. Yeah, 186 for the sellers, 176 for the buyers. Still, the numbers are here. 1045, so there are enough apocalypses on the markets. All of this is pretty recent, this entire front page, so I actually feel that this could be just a little bit of a spike, although I'm not seeing it in the volumes. Maybe this volume here, but it's not that up. No, so I'm not seeing it in the volumes. Right here, that's much bigger volume. This, of course, as well, right here at the early part of the chart. But here I'm not seeing the big volume spike, and so this increase in price is not just someone scooping in for all of the apocalypses. It actually looks like this has been a bit of a slower evolution, and that the gap is being plugged a little bit too slowly, but it is happening now. Of course, you're seeing a lot of sell orders following each other, which is going to decrease the price back to the medium of around 180. I think it could happen in a few weeks if supply keeps coming in here. Next up, the Caracal then, slowly trending down since May, so I think that that's actually pretty good, although it still has a way to go before reaching back its normal price of 10.5 million, which we had before the changes to the minerals. So currently Caracal's 11.5 million for the sellers, 10.8 million for the buyers. So and there's not that many of them, despite the fact that this is 276.32. Let's take a quick look at the volumes. Yeah, there's like around 300 of them being sold every day. So this could end up being bought out decently quickly, meaning that Caracals could go up from this point, which I do think means that the Caracal is settling about 1 million higher than 6 months ago, and it is going to stay that way. So the Caracal has increased in price a little bit. Could have something to do with the new look, of course. That is possible, and the use of Caracals by I think it's Test or Brave Newbies, one of the two. Not entirely sure. Next up here we've got the Dominics. I'm actually pretty happy to see that the Dominics is once again reaching the 190 million mark, which I would consider to be the normal price for the Dominics. So this increase in price here, you can see that the Dominics moved around the 200 million band for several weeks. I think this was after the changes to minerals, the changes to the amount of Zydrine and Megasite needed in all of the blueprints. But as you can see, this is not a situation and that is going to keep happening. So it doesn't look like the evolution of the increasing price is able to maintain itself here. The Dominic's back to 190. Let's take a look at supply here, 41.21. All of this looking pretty good. It could be some pressure from activity. That is possible as well. But overall, I do think Dominic's won't go much lower than 190, although it still has some momentum. But it's good to see them back where they were before. Here is the Myrmidon then. That one's still edging up a little bit, but going here, 52 million. I would say that 51 was the average below that, but a 1 million difference here is not that big. But it's again working on a new spike. So 54 for the sellers, 50 for the buyers. The Myrmidon for some reason has been behaving quite spiky lately. Here is the Stabber then. That one clearly going up now. That's actually been since May again here. So starting at 10 million, and then now it's actually going up towards 12 million for the sellers, 11 million for the buyers. They've obviously followed suit. So this could be due to a rebalance or something like that the Stabber has become more popular all of a sudden. But clearly this is a bit more of a sustained increase in price. And if I go for a 1 year chart, I do think that you can see the Stabber has been 10.5 million for quite a while. Seeing it going to 12 now after a bit of spiky behavior does mean that I think the Stabber could be in for higher normal prices, just like the Caracal has found as well. 6 month chart is a bit better to see that there. Let's take a look here at the Tornado, also going up. So quite a few Tech 1 ships going up, except for the Dominics. Oh, this could actually be the Sentry nerf. The Dominics, of course, one of the most used drone ships out there, so this could fall out of grace a little bit because of the nerfs to the sentry drones. This nerf does also mean that CCP has its eye on the drone meta at the moment, and that things could change, meaning that if you want alternatives, of course you've got Minotaur ships with the new looks. If those could come back in vogue, having some of those available could be a pretty good move. And this could all be a part of the meta evolving with the nerf to sentry drones. Here's the Vexor then, yeah, also trying to go lower. So we'll see if the Vexor actually also goes lower a little bit more, then it could just be fear that the drones will no longer be the favorite weapon system and that we could be moving to something else. So it's very interesting to keep an eye on this Tech 1 market. Now that I think about it, if CCP rebalances things, that could actually have a pretty big impact here. After all of this stability, we could see new types of ships, new types of weapon systems move into what's most used, and thus we could see a move on the price and on the market from that as well. So I'll keep an eye on it from that perspective, I think. Next up, Tech 2 market, and that would be 1745. Let's see if we can find some trade opportunities or show that the Tech 2 market is still pretty hot for that. Basilisk, not that hot for that, moving between the 175 and the 180 million band for quite a bit too long here. So it's good to see that at least this is a 10 million jump, which is more than, is it more than 10%? No, it's not more than 10%. So I need to see a jump twice as big to say that Basilisk would have made you some trade money. Here's the Guardian though, that's better. Hitting that bottom of 115, we are now back up to 135. That's pretty nice if you manage to buy on this dip, and you can sell now. Guardian looks pretty good. In fact, I have a few Guardians. I'm gonna have to sell those. Next up here, we've got the Hound. Again, I'm hoping that at some point something happens to stealth bombers, bringing them back into a more popular place, because they've been going down steadily over the last 6 months. They were very good for spiky behavior when they were going below and above the 20 million mark, but now they're staying well below that, and it's very hard to actually make some trade money from these. Here is the Manticore then. Again, this is not that bad, going from 21 to 23 million, but it's too slow of an evolution. Much better to see a spike like this one right here from 22 to 25 million. There's some trade money to be made there, but for now here, the Manticore, that's a nope. Same with the Nemesis. Just hovering around that 18.5, 19 million band for a bit too long now. That's much better. Seeing the Oneros take off here. Do I have a few of those? It's possible, I'm not entirely sure. But this is pretty good. You could have bought Oneroses for 140 and you can bring them to the market for 180 million. 40 million trade, around a third of the buying price. Well, a little bit less than that, but 25%, something like that. Pretty easy profit. So yeah, Take-Two logistics cruisers, are they making their moves a bit more now? Is this because of the sovereignty changes that we're gonna move more towards less big fleets that are awesome targets for bombing runs and more smaller fleets that need their own logistics? And thus Take-Two, the best logistics cruisers, could be what comes back in vogue, meaning that there will be impulse buying, needed buying, and thus a very fertile ground for trading. It is possible. It is definitely possible. Here's the Purifier, again, here moving just in the 17 to 19 million band, and just up and down in two small variations. Compare this to the previous spikes that we saw here, and then this big downfall here. You had much better opportunities before, as I've said, when stealth bombers were going below and above 20 million. And here is then the Scimitar. At least it knew a little bit of spike here. Almost 115, probably 117.5, something like that, but then a spike up to 135. Not that bad, correcting back. Interesting, to me at least, that the stealth bombers could really not play such a big role after the sovereignty changes anymore, and that it could be the logistics cruisers where the trade money is going to be. I'll keep another eye on that. But I feel that this is very interesting, especially considering here the Oneros move, and then here the Guardian that does show a decent profit potential as well after this downtrend here. So if we see more spikes coming in the logistics cruiser market, that could be one of the reasons. Interesting stuff. Next up, we've got the Tech-3 ships, which is, I should write that down really, 2135. Here's the Confessor, again pretty damn stable. You're still buying Confessors for 34 million, so that's pretty good. It's actually the cruisers that could be interesting. The Legion going down, breaking 140 on the sellers, yeah, 137 on the sellers. Here you can clearly see the overproduction pressure at work, 32.47, despite the fact that we are going down substantially. So although this is still at 140, but of course 32 legions at 140, just below 140 million, is putting a bit of a ceiling on the price. Thus we are going down slowly. Here's the Loki chart. That one is managing to hold on at 140, so that does look like the new normal price for strategic cruisers. But 24,937, the lowest sell orders, so that pressure, it is definitely still here, and it does look like no one brought new Lokis to the market in 24 hours. So that's something you don't see too often. Are people waiting and hoping for a bit of a Loki spike? Is that in the works? It is possible, but that's still quite a big supply numbers, putting the pressure on the price. Here's the Proteus chart then, also towards 140, and again 16, 10, 13, 10. Those are still much bigger numbers than the buyers, thus putting pressure on the price. The Tengu did do a bit of spike up. You can see that it's already ending. So are we seeing big supply coming in here again? God damn it, now they're starting to work outside again. I hope that this doesn't come through too badly. But let's quickly finish this off then. 17, 10, all of this less than a day old. 10, 6, 9, 5, 5 here, the two latest ones, putting the pressure on the Tengu. Once again, I do think that we'll be going back towards 140 for the Tengu pretty soon. Here's this Vapul then, 35 million, which seems to be the normal price for a tactical destroyer, is what that one is at as well. 102.79, huge supply of these ships. And then for the extra one for this week, I'll just take a look at the new one, see what that price has been doing, and that would be 23.50. And then of course I'll add that one to the sidebar as well. So that is for ships and destroyers, the Jackdaw right here. Very steep decline right away, and not starting that high. I mean, you've got a few data points at 80 million, a chart starting at 60 million, or not even that, at 66 million, and then going down very steeply right away. You're already buying Jackdaws for 58 million, buyers are at 52.5 million. This will go even faster than all of the previous one. The impact of the next tactical destroyer is smaller and smaller here. and you can see the numbers. Everyone is ready. 93, 10, 17. This market is going to settle very soon, and pretty soon you'll have jackdaws for 35 million, just like all of the other tactical destroyers. Looks pretty damn cool though, the jackdaw. But yeah, this was to be expected after we saw the evolution from the Confessor, which started at like 1 billion and then went down pretty quickly. But then we had the Zwepul here starting at 60, 70 million, something like that. And now for the jackdaw, it's even less. It's gonna settle even more quickly. Everyone is just ready for this. They know exactly what to do, what to have prepared, how to bring them to the market. There is tech tree oversupply in general, so they can just jump on these new ships that quickly. This was bound to happen. Very little impact on the tech tree market from the release of the jackdaw, and I think the Galente one is going to be even worse, unless that one is very special. We don't know what it does just yet. But overall, yeah, the jackdaw already very affordable if you want to test it out. So I think that for that reason, it's very good news, because these destroyers are actually fun ships to fly for PvP. They have their niche, they have their roles in faction warfare. They are of course new ships that you can try new and ridiculous, but also sometimes overpowered things with, and so that actually makes them fun, and it's good to see that they're actually very accessible for the player base. Anyways, that's it for this Eve Talk then, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.